Happy Wednesday. It has been a minute since I have joined you guys on a Wednesday evening, and I am super excited to be back in the saddle talking all things launching and operating a successful and profitable travel business. So let me know in the comments like where you guys are watching from and what's going on in your world. Happy October, chapter 10. That is where we are. We really are like pretty much done with the year. Like it's a wrap. Like it's almost a wrap, if not completely a wrap. It is almost a wrap. Happy Wednesday. Nice to have you on. Um, it's been a minute. I've been doing a whole bunch of different stuff. Hey, Danielle, nice to have you on. I've been working really hard the last several months. I would, it seems like it's been weeks, but it really has been months as for those who do not know, we are simplifying the way that you do your travel business, how you run and operate your travel business through solutions. I'll tell you all about that at the end of this, but heads down. And I was committed this month to get back in the saddle. And so I'm super excited here. And so this month, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different things relative to profitability. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that sales is like a critical part of profitability, right? You need to be selling stuff in order to be profitable. So tonight we're going to be talking about mastering sales and what that means in your travel business. And so you are correct, Danielle. Compass Travel Tech is fire. So we are hosting a 5-day boot camp inside of our Compass Travel Tech group. Just been working with some amazing travel advisors, helping them get their systems and tools set up. And so I was just talking to a partner earlier today, and I was telling her, I'm really tired, but what, boot camps like that and the work that we've been doing over the last several months just reminds me how much I love working with you all and helping you all put together the pieces, solve problems, and really come at it. So, I'm going to start with a story. I am in Georgia. For those who do not know where I'm at, I'm in Georgia. Let me know in comments where you're watching from and what you are drinking. I am drinking a little bit of cherry wine to end a very long day. So I will be sipping on that throughout the thing. But I'm going to start with a story because, I don't know about you all. Sales is not my favorite thing. Like, how many of you guys just love sales? If you're one of those people that really don't really like the word sales, you really aren't really into sales, don't like really float your boat, like type of 1, it's like you just really don't like sales. Like when I started my first business, now I sort of think that there's like a difference like of sales and kind of what we're doing, right? When I think of the word sales, I really think about sales from like a car salesman, right? Like that's the number one thing I think about. And quick story about the car salesman. My first interaction with the car salesman is when I got out of college. I bought my first car. And like that guy totally reamed me over the coals. Like he stole from me. I didn't know any better. Like I got pretty much a hoopty for like the price of a BMW. It was ridiculous, right? And I had such a horrible feeling and experience about that. And I always thought to myself, I never want to be that guy or that process or be a part or associated with that process. So every time I hear or heard the word sales, I want to say probably up until 2020, COVID, I just got this really sick feeling in my stomach around the whole idea of selling, right? And when I came in the online space back in 2016, what I knew selling to be really changed dramatically because I really am good at talking to people face to face. Like because I have the gift of gab, if I can talk to you and I can see your eyes and I can see you, I don't have a problem communicating with you. But this whole online selling really threw me off. Like I was like, where are the eyes? Where are the eyes? Where are the people? And so it felt icky to me. And so this whole kind of feeling that I always had about sales sort of returned. And so in 2016, when I launched my coaching business, and I wasn't helping travel advisors back in 2016. I had started with an online e-commerce store, and then moved into coaching salon owners, because that's my background. So, many years in this beauty industry. And I was like, you know what? I've got business background. I'm just going to marry those two. But it was hard. Like, it was super hard. Like, I hired a coach, and all I really thought to myself is, I want to avoid having to talk to people. Like, how many of you guys feel like that? Like, I desperately wanted to avoid having conversations. I wanted things to sell itself. Like, I wanted to learn whatever process I needed to do. That's why I did e-commerce first, because I was like, I don't have to interact with anybody. I could just sell my stuff. I will build it and they will come, right? I'm really good at building things. So I will build a website and they will come. I will put my stuff on my website and they will come. That's what I thought, right? Because I built a barbershop. I built a brick and mortar business, and we hit the pavement to get people in the door. But it was sort of that feeling like I built it, we built it and people came. So when I came to the online space, I thought it was going to be the same thing. All I needed to do was build an online storefront and people would come. And I wouldn't have to really talk to them because I couldn't see them. So that's the way it was, right? And I suspect many of you guys feel or are doing the same thing by virtue of not having conversations and, posting on social media, right? Creating a website, doing those things that we know are supposed to attract people. Like, how many of you guys are actually doing that? Do you feel like I built a website, that's what I need to do? And if I build a website, they will come, right? If I post on my social media accounts, if I, post on Instagram, if I post on Facebook, if I post, people will come, right? And that is going to allow me to sell travel, right? Don't get me wrong. I did the same thing. I did it for years. And I took a lot of training on learning how to build sales funnels, learning how to build ways for people to come and buy without me talking to them. Like, my whole mantra from about 2016 to 2020 was, I want to build stuff and I want to learn how to do stuff that eliminates me having to talk to people. Like, how many of you guys feel like that? How many of you guys feel like, I don't really want to talk to anybody? Like, I just want to sell travel. I mean, if I have to talk to you, that's fine. But I really want you to already know that you want to buy, and that's it. Like, I don't really want to do anything other than that, right? And so it was about 2020 that I realized that, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I learned it. Like, the major shift that happened for me in 2020 was, I was like, I had a coach, an amazing coach. It was a coach that really taught me how to take my community, my Facebook group, because I had a coach in 2016 that taught me how to grow a Facebook group, right? How to get, how to run ads, again, because I'm a techie person. So learning the technology of a thing to get it to do what I want, like, that's my jam, right? So I learned how to run ads to grow a Facebook group. I learned how to, create funnels so I could get people to opt in. I learned all of those things, but what I didn't know is I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know how to take that gross feeling I had around selling and convert those people into clients. I didn't know how to do that. Literally, when I hired a coach to build me a sales funnel, cost me $5,000, actually $10,000, cost me $10,000 to learn how to run Facebook ads, build a funnel to grow my Facebook group. And then ultimately she's like, you need to have sales conversations with them. And literally, this funnel was freaking amazing. Like, literally, I had appointments after appointments after appointments. There was one time in like a 2-week period, I must have done like 50 appointments and closed 0. And do you know why? Because I didn't know how to have conversations. I didn't know how to talk to people in a way that was meaningful. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is really how to master sales and really take that idea of icky feeling around sales and really use what our superpower is, which is our love of travel, and turn that into conversations that either will get you the sale, and sometimes they won't get you the sale. But we're gonna talk about that. So how I learned it was in 2020. I was working with the coach to really understand the dynamics of what a group does and what that means to have a community. And the first aha moment I had with working with those coaches was, he said, you need to stop avoiding and he wasn't talking to me. It was like it was a group, right? He was talking to a bunch of people, but I'll never forget, his name was Chris. And he goes, you need to be talking to as many people as you can. If you're trying to avoid conversations, you need to stop. Like, you need to have as many conversations as you possibly can. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to do it another way. Like, I still was rejecting the idea. But what clicked for me was, if you like, selling on autopilot or selling without conversation is really for, lower ticket items, ticket items that don't require like a lot of investment of time and money, right? So that's why it's so easy to get leads if you create systems to do that, right? Because if it's a good small offer, right, not a lot of time, not a lot of money, people are willing to do it, right? But that's just the hook. The aha moment is that if you're really selling high ticket, you need to be having a conversation, right? You've got to be discovering about your people. Like, you've got to learn about them to even determine if you are the person to solve or give them what they need, right? So when I realized that it was really a discovery process that I needed to go through. Don't think about sales. Car salesmen don't care about you. They don't, right? And that's the reason why I didn't like the whole concept of selling, is because I equated it to that thing. But when I got that aha moment, it's like, really think of sales calls as discovery, right? That you're discovering information about your client relative to your ability to help them. That was like, it slapped me in the face. I was like, oh, I'm too much focused. And I've been focused all these years on the money, the end result, and not really how I can help, how I can service, how I can take what is really my superpower and help somebody achieve what their goal is. That, if you can make this shift tonight and going forward in your travel business, as don't be so much focused on selling the thing, but understanding why the sale really helps your clients achieve whatever that is, right? It helps them achieve a better relationship. It helps them achieve something that they've always wanted to do, right? If you approach this transaction not as a transaction, but an opportunity to learn about your clients, it's going to be less stressful for you. It's going to be less stressful for them. And then not all the time you can solve everybody's problem. Not every time they are a good fit for the packages that you put together or the services that you put together, right? So that for me was the big shift. So in 2020, when I changed my thought, it really started with me internally. Like, I had to change the way I thought about selling as not a transaction, but really an opportunity to help. It really changed the way I showed up on calls. It changed the way that I interacted. I no longer was stressed out, like my armpits no longer sweat when I got ready to talk to people, because it wasn't pressure. It was no longer like, I got to make the sale. I got to make the sale. It was more like, I'm going to walk into this call. I'm going to see if I can help them or not. I got their requirements, right? I got their travel requests. Looks like they want some good stuff, but man, I got a lot of questions here. I got some things I need to discover about why they want to go, right? What do they really want to do? And I'm listening. I'm trying to figure out what really is driving them to want to take this trip. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you're selling high ticket sale travel, right? People just don't just say, I want to drop $10,000 just because, right? There's something that's causing them to want to do that. And your job is to figure it out. Like, that's your only real job, is to figure out why this trip that you're selling to them is going to meet their needs, right? Granted, we do a lot of other services, right? We take the fuss out of trying to do all the research. We do all that, right? Those are great things that we do, but there's a reason they want to go on this trip. And your job is to figure out that reason and match that reason to the services that you provide, right? If you can switch your thought about how you show up to selling, then the pressure becomes less. When you create content, if you can create content around why your clients, why they need to get out of town, it's going to be easier for you to connect with them. It's going to be easier for you to relate to them. So that's how I learned it, right? That's how I learned to shift the pressure that sales, that word had on me, to really a service model. I am good in the service industry. I've always been in the service industry. My first job my first job was McDonald's. I knocked that bad boy out of the park. I was a customer service. I was I think I did fries, and then I quickly moved to the name of the role was store activity representative, because I love talking to people and helping them. I love that, right? Got a college degree. I was an auditor for years, and then I actually had a second job as an auditor, and I worked in retail, worked at Casual Corner, and I sold clothes, not because I was good at selling clothes. It was good because I was good at having conversations about figuring out what people and how they wanted to look. So I was the number one retailer selling clothes because I talked to every single lady that walked in Casual Corner, and I understood what she wanted to buy and how she wanted to look and how she wanted to feel, right? So putting together outfits for her was easy, right? The reason why I'm good at selling travel is because I understand why somebody wants to get out of town. And I know how to put together packages that are going to ensure that they have an amazing experience, right? So that's when I stopped worrying about selling packages and trying to sell experiences and connected that dot. It was so much easier for me. I took that pressure off of the discovery call. I took the pressure off of me about, I gotta hit this number. Even in my coaching business, same thing. It's not about me trying to sell you training or trying to sell you coaching. It's trying to figure out what is it that you want out of your business, right? And am I the person to help you get what you want out of your business, right? When that shift happened to me, my entire world shifted, right? So the lesson that I learned out of that shift, and ladies and gents, if any gents are watching, that I hope that you learn out of tonight, is that you need to make that shift as well. If you're struggling with selling travel, right, it's not the people, it's you. I always say, if there's a problem, always look inward. Always look at what is it about you and your relationship to the word sale. Because at the end of the day, I don't care if we call it salespersons, marketers, I don't care. We are in business for profit. And the only way you can make profit is to have a way to make an exchange, right? You can make a lot of exchanges, or you can make a little bit of exchanges, right? Depending on your price point, depending on a lot of different variables, right? But it's really an exchange. What value are you bringing to the table? And are you bringing that value to somebody who's willing to exchange money for it? And if you don't know the value that you bring as a travel advisor, you're going to have a hard time convincing or talking about that to other people. So if you're struggling with sales in your travel business, my first question to you is, what is your relationship with the word? What is your relationship with the concept and the process of sales? Do you even think of yourself as somebody that really needs to show up and talk about how you help people get out of town better than the next person? Why you're different than Expedia.com, why you're different than Priceline.com, why you're different than any other person in the space that's doing what you do. If you don't have the answer to that, it's going to be very difficult for you to sell, right? I don't care what kind of packages that you put together, right? Because you're not going to be able to talk about your value proposition. So selling is really about how well you can service your client, because that's really all we do. We are a huge transaction business. We are a transaction. We do a bunch of transactions for people and make that process easier. If you're thinking it's anything other than that, that's what it is, right? So it's all got to be about how well you do the process, right? How well you do the process, how easy you make it for your clients to swipe, get in and out of town, and experience what they desire. And if you don't know how to articulate that in words, right, through the written word or through the video, right, or audio, you're gonna have a hard time selling, right? Because you don't have a brick and mortar, right? And unless your entire strategy for getting in front of people is you are shaking as many hands and kissing as many babies as you possibly can every single day, you're gonna have to do it in the online world, right? And the online world requires you having the ability to develop relationships in a meaningful way that allows people to want to make that exchange. So that means you got to be talking about things that you may not be comfortable or know that you should be talking about, which is really your services, how you approach doing your services, how you create experiences, right? The process by which you create experiences. Like if you're not talking about how you put together packages, how people aren't talking about how you put together packages, right? They haven't given you testimonials. You're not getting people to do a video, doing written testimonials, right? That's proof that you do your job really well, right? That's important. If you're not talking about how well you do your job, right? That's also important. Those things are important to the sales process. Does that make sense? Right? So that's number one. I want you to walk away for today realizing that you've got to shift your thought about selling in general, right? If you have a negative connotation around selling, don't even think about it as selling. Think about it as you provide a service. How can you tell people about the service that you provide? Because it's a very valuable service. Like I could spend all day long talking about what amazing things travel advisors do for the people that they service, right? What you do, the advocacy that you do, the work that you guys do, the knowledge that you guys gain in order to be able to spew out all the information that, I mean, we're literally walking travel encyclopedias in terms of destinations, suppliers, choices, options, right? You literally are all of that in one, right? So your value is huge. You shouldn't have any problem being able to talk about that value. You've got to be able to articulate that value in many different forms, right? And the better you can do that, the better you're going to be at this process. So really, my big aha moment, and I've sort of alluded to that, my big aha moment was the shift that I had to show up and not focus on selling, really focus on understanding how I can help. That's what I wrote in my notes. It's like the shift for me in 2020 was to not focus on selling, but focus on service. Does that make sense? Like, let me know in comments. Like, how are you guys feeling about that as a concept? Like, how are you guys showing up to service people, and how are you talking about that? So this is before you even have a conversation, right? So to get people to even notice you, it's got to be like, this is how I can help. This is how I help. This is what I do to help. This is how I make it easier for you to do the thing that you want to do, right? I learned this term when I started in the online space, years ago, WYSIWYG, like what's in it for you, right? When I talk about when I do content, when I do sales pages, when I write, I'm never writing from the perspective of Sunday. It's always them, you, everyone else, right? Even my about page isn't about me. It's about you. It's about how I help and service you, right? So when you're talking to your clients, it should always be around them, right? How you position yourself to help them, right? Service them, provide for them, whatever things that you are doing, right? Obviously, all the things that we do in the travel space, it's really around them. So it's what's in it for them. That's what it stands for. WYSIWYG is like actually an IT term, but it's what's in it for them. What's in it for them? So when you think about writing, something that's going to attract people, what's in it for them? What are they going to get out of it, right? Because that's what gets people to listen. When you conduct a discovery call, it's really about your ability to learn about them so you can talk about how you can help them, what you can deliver for them, what you can give them, right? It's not about us. Right. So the shift that I had to make was not worrying about the sale. It was worrying about how I can help. Either I can help or I can't. And so when I'm having calls, when I'm having sales calls with people, I'm trying to figure out that number one question. Can I help them? And if I come out that call saying no, I don't even make an offer. If I come out if there's any indication that I can't help in the manner that is my superpower, I don't even extend the offer. I am willing to walk away from the call. Like, I'm willing to end the call. I've ended many calls early, right? Because there's some indication that I am not the right person to help them. Right? So this is what I want you all to take for the process, right? You want more sales, you want to master sales, you want to master the sales process. First, you got to realize that there is a process, right? That you are part of a process, right? Throwing up, and I don't mean that literally throwing up, but throwing out a bunch of posts about destinations without a connection and you're an online business is a recipe for disaster, right? If you want to sell more and you want to master sales, you got to understand that you got to master relationships. We are an online business. I do not get the opportunity to look somebody in the eyes and tell if they're shifty. You know, I give people a lot of opportunity to look me in the eyes via all the video that I do, but you don't get the opportunity if you create some random social media post about your trip to Aruba, right? That's the only interaction that they have with you. If you've not built a relationship and you're trying to sell, these high ticket, medium ticket, I don't really care if it's over $50, right? It's considered high ticket to a lot of people. If you're trying to sell a multiple $1,000 trip to somebody that doesn't know you and you don't have a relationship to them, it's not likely that that's going to happen, particularly if the language in your marketing material isn't relationship building language, or is it information that really speaks to the soul of that person. Right? So sales starts with you understanding that, one, it's a process, and two, it's about relationships. Good salespeople have great relationships, even if it's a new relationship. They're interested in learning about the person. So the process that I have for Fits really is built around trying to get as much information about a person so that when I do sit in front of them on a video call or web conference call, right? Even if I do it via phone, I have as much information so that I can have a conversation that is going to immediately start building rapport with that person. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to have already done my my intake form is getting information that allows me to ask thought-provoking questions around their family, the desire of the experience that they have. So that call is really built on me getting an opportunity to learn all about them. I'm not interested in the sale, right? I know that may be hard to believe, but I'm not. I'm interested in learning about why they want to get out of town. I'm interested in learning about them. I'm interested in learning about what makes them tick, what is important to them, what's not important to them, what's going to make them make a decision, what's preventing them from making a decision today or tomorrow when I present the information. I'm discovering them. I'm learning about them. And I hope that they're doing the same about me, right? Because this is a pretty intimate relationship. I'm getting ready to take their entire family, in most cases, out of the country, and they're trusting me with that information. They're trusting me with confidential information. They're trusting me with a lot of personal information. So I don't take that lightly. And I know you guys don't either, but my point is, the first thing is I'm trying to relate, right? I'm trying to build a relationship from the beginning. So from the time I meet somebody online through some sort of opt-in to the time I get them in a call, I'm trying to build a relationship, right? I'm interested in either providing content to them that I know that they want because I know my audience, or giving them an opportunity to learn about me in terms of the way that I can help them. Right? So when it comes to you selling travel and doing it well, first thing is relate. You want to have as many conversations as you want. You can, not once, because you may not want it, but as many conversations. So in 2020, when I was like, I need to stop running from conversations. I need to be running towards conversations. I did the unthinkable. I did the very thing that I was like avoiding for years. I started having, I did what I love, which is I had a Facebook group. I still have this Facebook group. Um, and I haven't done this in a while. Facebook makes it a little bit harder to do that. So I'm, shifting things because again, I want to start having conversations. Is in 2020 when I made this shift, I literally reached out to every new member that joined my Facebook group to have a conversation. I wasn't trying to sell. I just wanted to get to know them. I wanted to know why they joined the Facebook group. I wanted to know what was going on in their travel business, and I wanted to understand what they were. I wanted to invite them to a live. I wanted to know them. I wanted to see what they were struggling with. I had like a set of questions that I was asking, and I wasn't interested in selling to them. I was interested in learning about them. And what that relationship building exercise did for me is it taught me so much about travel advisors. Right? When I do it with clients, travel clients, it's the same thing. When I'm asking questions with the perspective of trying to get to know them, I learned so much, right? I'm not trying to sell them. I'm trying to learn and discover about them. I learn so much, literally learn so much, right? That knowledge gives me fuel for marketing content. It gives me fuel for stranger offers. It gives me fuel for live topics. It gives me so much information. So it's a win-win. So even if I don't make a sale, right, it begins to create a library of content that I can use to help talk to get more people to talk to, right? Because have you ever heard the saying, and I wrote this down because I used to think it was crazy, is the more conversations you have, the more likely you are to get a yes, right? Have you guys ever heard that saying, right? Is if you're a salesperson, you need to be just trying to get as many no's as possible. And the spirit of that is the more conversations you have, somebody ultimately is going to say yes, right? Have you guys heard that before? And I remember hearing that. It's like, so you're just telling me I need to do a bunch of stuff that I don't want to already do so I can get a bunch of people to tell me no? That sounds crazy. Like that sounds like a bunch of crazy. But what they didn't teach me what they didn't tell me, what I learned about that whole process of having these conversations is that it teaches me and it taught me to listen and understand what people were saying. So for every no that I got, I analyzed it because I'm an analyzer, right? So I'm like, what do we talk about? Like I would take notes and I would look at my notes. I would use those notes to fuel conversations with, create conversations with lives. It would help me write content. It would just like, I would analyze the results of pretty much every conversation I had. I'm telling you, I mean, I could show you my messenger, the amount of conversations that I had with travel advisors from 2020 to about 2022, because I stopped having those conversations in 2022. I talked to every single body that came in. So if you came in the group, you may check your messenger and see if there's a message from me. I was having those conversations because I wanted to know what was going on with advisors, right? And if you don't know who your client is, then my recommendation is to have more conversations. So that's really the one thing that I want you guys to do. The first thing is, that's really the second thing. The first thing is like, you got to have a way to attract people to have conversations with. That's where the stranger offer comes, right? Is that you need to have a process to get people to talk to you, right? What is that process, right? Do you even have a plan to get people to talk to you? And once you get it, do you not talk to them? Like, because that's what I did for years. Like I had a plan to get people to talk, like to talk to me, right? I had funnels, I had attraction funnels, I had opt-in offers, I had all these things to get people on my list, but then I didn't talk to them. I didn't email them, I didn't message them, I didn't have any sort of conversations with them. I just I had my Facebook group and that was it. I didn't even reach out to them back in 2018, like 2016 from 2020, I had Facebook groups. I've had many Facebook groups. And the only time I talked to people in my Facebook group is when I did a post and they replied to the post. And if you know anything about Facebook groups, that's like 10% of the people that are in the group, right? Like that's not going to get you a lot of conversations, and particularly the way the algorithm is now, it's not going to get you any conversations at all, right? So I had to do something drastically different to be able to have conversations with them. You know, the shift that we made last year is email, right? Is actually utilizing all that money that I spent to grow my email list to have conversations with people in email, right? To then invite them to lives and then have conversations with people on lives, right? So really the number two goal for me was, number one was attract, number two was relationships, right? Having as many conversations with people as I possibly can, right? And it doesn't always have to be a two-way conversation, but people get the opportunity to hear what I have to say because I create opportunities. And even though that it's not two-way in a lot of cases, YouTube's a really good channel. Facebook groups is another good channel. Instagram, if Instagram is your thing, right? These social media platforms aren't there for you just to post and not talk. If you're not getting engagement, then you're not utilizing social media for what it's good for. If you're just posting and you're not having talks with people, and you're not getting to know your clients, prospective clients, then you're missing out on opportunity to understand them, right? So really the second thing is you need to be having more conversations. If you look at your calendar and you don't have any discovery calls on your calendar, that's a conversation. If you're looking in your messenger, you don't have any messages in your messenger, that's a missed conversation, right? If you look at your email and you don't have any emails, it's another missed conversation, right? So it's your responsibility to create these opportunities to have conversations, right? You either need to put your person in front of the people so that you can have live conversations, or you need to be communicating through the written word, right? Or video word or the audio or some way. You've got to create the reason for people to talk to you, right? That's the major message out of here. Then the third thing is offers, right? Right? So the first thing is attract. The purpose of attracting is so you can relate, right? So you can have these conversations. Then you've got to have offers, which is opportunities for you to discover. You've got to have concrete offers for people to allow you to have travel requests, right? To ultimately have discovery calls or travel requests to have conversations so that you can discover more information so that you can ultimately sell, right? So you've got to create offers. If you are having low sales, I would ask, what are the offers that you have? What are your reasons to buy? And are you only trying to get people to buy without the relationship? Because if you're doing that, people aren't going to buy from you. If you don't have relationships, people do not buy from people they don't know. And they certainly do not spend thousands of dollars with a stranger that they don't know, when they could very well spend that same thousands of dollars with somebody that they know, right? And I'm thinking Priceline, because everybody knows William Shatner. He's not even the face of Priceline anymore. But you get what I'm saying? Like, they know that is the reason why suppliers use famous people, right? I think Virgin is using J-Lo in her in their ads, right? So my point is that you're competing. Literally, there is a soft competition between suppliers and travel agents by virtue of them utilizing celebrities that people can connect to. And then you're showing up on the online space and you're not talking. You're creating a zero opportunity for you to be successful if you're trying to attract strangers. Now, if your business is all based on referral, then I'm going to say, what is your referral program to get more referrals? Then you need to have a strong referral program to ensure that you get as many referrals as you can, because that's the way that you're going to attract, is through referrals, right? So whatever your attraction mechanism is, my second step for you is what is your way to relate to those people on a consistent basis, and then what are you offering them so that you have an opportunity to learn more about them and sell them your trips, right? So more sales means more conversations. More conversation means more opportunity to discover. More opportunity to discover is your time to shine. So if your calendar is empty and you do discovery calls, right? Only way you're going to get it not to be empty is to create a process by which you get discovery calls booked, right? You need to be creating opportunities for people to submit travel requests if that's your process, right? That's the process that I teach. But if you have some other process, my point is whatever that mechanism that you have in your business that's going to allow you to have conversations to get requirements so that you can ultimately find out more about their needs, the better your chances of are increasing your sales, right? So the last part is closing, right? So it's 4 steps I've got. Relate, 5 actually. Attract, relate, have offers, discover, and then close, right? Closing is pretty simple if you've done all that other stuff. If you have discovered about your client what they need, and and you've discovered about yourself, you discovered about your suppliers, right? That call, that activity, that sales activity, right? Which is the call, closing it should be a no-brainer, right? Because you've already done the work. You're there, you're in that call, talking to them, you're listening to them, you're hearing them, and you're marrying your services to their needs, and you're ascertaining, are they a fit or not, right? You're qualifying them monetarily, right? So some of the questions I'm asking in the discovery call is to see if they have the funds to be able to deposit right now, right? I'm not shying away from a hard money conversation. I'm having that conversation with them in that discovery call, right? So I'm qualifying them. I'm identifying if they have the ability to pay. I'm identifying if they have the ability and the desire to make the decision now, or are they just feeling me out? Because if they're just feeling me out, I'm pretty much gonna, you know, once I ask that question and they say, yeah, I'm just looking around, or, oh yeah, I'm looking to go out of town or make the decision in 3 months. I'm like, you know what, that's great. How about in 3 months, you come back to me and I'll have you resubmit this travel request process, and then we can pick it up from there, right? Like, I'm not going to spend my time if you've just disqualified yourself doing all this research so you could ultimately not go on the trip, right? Now, if you want to pay my fee, right, and I talk to you about that, I'm going to make a nice $250 to do some research for you. I'm cool with that too. But again, I already know that in the discovery call, right? So I'm figuring out based on my criteria, are they a fit for the services that I provide? And if you're not doing that, it's not likely you're going to close, right? So I already know at the end of that discovery call if I'm going to get them to be able to, one, pay for the deposit, right? If they're going to make a decision quick, or if they're going to ghost me, right? If I feel like they're going to ghost me, I'm not even going to offer my services. I'm going to be like, okay, well, here's what I recommend. I've got a site, like if you want to still salvage the deal and you want to I've got a site, you can book here. Here's the best recommendation. But, I'm not going to go and tell them, listen, it's $250 and they disqualified themselves and they're looking for $1,000 trip. Like, I'm not even going to offer my services to them, right? Right. So discovery is so important. Wherever you do that in the process, it's so important. But again, closing should be easy once you've already qualified your clients prior to that. All right, so I'm going to pause, take a sip of my cherry wine, and see. Any questions before we wrap it up? Let me know in comments if you have any questions, because we are on YouTube, so I'm able to see all of your questions. And this is the first time that I've exclusively gone on YouTube, so I'm really liking this, and I would be remiss to say, if you liked this video, do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel. And all of our lives that are upcoming are already posted for the month, so you can just click the notify on those. And then I'm so new to YouTube, so I got to remember all the YouTube things. So if you are not new to YouTube, do all the YouTube things that you know that you're supposed to do. And I will be here next Wednesday night talking all things launching and operating a successful and travel business. If you want to get a sneak peek at what we've got coming up this upcoming week, you can just take a look at the live section. No questions. I'm loving that you guys are loving it. Sales, I'm going to just end with this. Sales does not have to be an icky experience, right? You guys get to do, literally, I said this earlier today, is working with clients. It just reminds me, even during stressful times, that that you do, when I'm stressed out, sometimes I'm human, just like everybody. It's like, really, am I supposed to be doing this? And then I get the opportunity to work with clients, and I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this. Like, I love working with you all, right? And so, if you still have that warm, like that pit in your stomach, and you love like designing trips, and this is your jam, right? And you're feeling a little bit discouraged because maybe you haven't had any clients in a while, focus not on the sale, focus on how you can show up and start talking to more people about how amazing it is to travel, right? How amazing it is to experience. Like, I mean, I went to Dubai twice this year, and the feeling of being out of town and experiencing that culture was amazing, right? Helping people in the way that I do, bringing travel agents to that location who had never been out of the country. That was amazing, right? And you guys do the same thing, right? Talk about that. Don't be focused so much on the sale. Talk about how amazing it is to be a person that gets to bring people to these experiences, and that as a travel advisor, you also get to experience it, right? Focus on talking about that. I'm going to tell you, people are going to be attracted to that because people are attracted to that type of energy. And if you focus on that energy, it will attract people to you. You don't have to worry about how are you going to sell, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. You need to have some skills around selling, but really, if you're getting angst around, I'm not selling anything, I'm going to ask you, like, how are you showing up to help people? Like, how do you position yourself to help people? What are the 5 things? Attract, right? You need a process to attract people, right? So that you can have more conversations, because the next thing is relate, right? The relationship is having conversations. So if you have a way to attract the person that you want, I don't know who your person is, whoever your person is, you need a way to do that. I talk about, if you search YouTube, you'll see I've got many videos. I think I have many videos on stranger offers. That's a term I use. That is the attraction process. 2 is relate, so you can have more conversations. 3 is you need to have opportunities to discover, right? So that's offers. You have to have a reason for people to want to do either travel requests or go on your group trips. So you have to have offers. You have to create opportunities for that. And then you have to have a discovery process, some way for you to learn about your clients. So is that a discovery call? Is that a group? Is that a Facebook group? What's your discovery process? So if you're selling fit and that's your primary bread and butter, how do you discover information about your client? And if you're selling multiple $1,000 trips, it better be in person. Like, and I don't mean physically in person, but you got to get on the phone. You can't just do an intake form and then go off and do a quote without a conversation. It needs to be a review of what it is. You need to understand, and you need to start to build that rapport, because you want them to pull out their credit card, make a swipe, and you don't really know anything about or discovered anything about them. That's critical. So that's discover. And then the last thing is close. You got to be able to close. You got to be able to close people, meaning you have to have a criteria for what makes somebody a good fit for you, right? So if you're doing planning fees, I call them design fees, but if you're doing planning fees, what's the criteria that you're looking for during that discovery that says, I'm going to offer them my $250 service fee or services, right? I'm going to offer these services because they demonstrated what? My criteria is an ability to pay, right? Ability to pay for the trip, right? If somebody balks at $500 deposit, it's not likely they're going to pay $250 for my design fee, right? If I tell you that it's $500 deposit within 3 days of the quote, are you prepared to make that? And they start stuttering, that's pretty much a disqualification for said services, right? They're going to give me some excuse, and I'm going to be like, okay, well, it's probably not likely that they're going to want to have this designed for them, right? So ability to pay, willingness to pay, and they really have a desire for my services. They're not just looking for me to just do some stuff for free, and people will let you know that. If you ask the right questions within the first 5 minutes of your call, you'll be able to determine if they're just trying to fill you out, right? I mean, most people who just want you to shop something for them, they don't even want to do your form. they don't even want to do the discovery call. So that just weeds them out right there. But if they get past all of that criteria and they come to the discovery call, and I ask them some more pointed questions, they'll disqualify themselves if they're really not interested in my services. So you got to be able to close. I only close those deals in a call that the people have demonstrated and passed my internal criteria. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. I'm glad that you like the YouTube format. I'm really, really committed to this format. This is going to be my jam, so you'll be seeing a lot more of me on this platform doing this. So we absolutely still love our Facebook group. We still show up inside of our Facebook group, but this video lives and all of that will be on the YouTube platform. All right, well, ladies and gents, I will see you next week, and you guys be safe and talk to you soon.